Rolling.
Okay, so this video was very long-winded, and for those of you out there that don't want to go through all that, I'm putting the cuts in the front of the video. So, not the ideal cutting situation, but you know, I can't be perfect, jeez. But it cuts really good for, I don't know, like a $25 saw. I like it. Hello all y'all fellas. And maybe there's a lady out there, I don't know. I don't think I have that much appeal in my old age. Anyways, but I figured it's time for me to give you an update on the Binford Bad Boy, the Poland 3450 that I have turned into a 3750. And if you go by the Poland Pro numbers, you're looking at the Poland Pro 330 being transformed into the 380, maybe 380 Super? I don't know. Anyways, a lot of different models. Here's the update, all right? So I still haven't been able to get this thing to run right. I have resealed the base gasket, which I'm using red Durco for that. That didn't work. Okay, if you've been following the series, you know it's got brand new, or it had brand new crank seals. I took it all the way down, split it apart, sealed up the crankcase halves. I've done a lot to this saw, right? But you know, somebody that's smarter than me with these things is telling me, yeah, the carburetors did act up on those, and blah, blah, blah. So I got a different carburetor from him. Still didn't fix it. What is it? Well, I got lucky, and I found another Poland saw, right? So let me go run grab that. All right, this is what I am calling black magic. It is a Craftsman 3.3. Right? It's a Sears best, mind you. Okay, but it's a Craftsman 3.3, which is the Poland 3450. I mean, if you get really deep into these saws, there's a whole line of them, and if you get really deep into them, then you'll learn all the little intricacies. This one right here has an aluminum cylinder, but a chrome piston. But anyways, a little bit of work. I put some new crank seals in this. I rebuilt the carburetor on this. This thing runs like a champ. I think I got it for $15 in an estate sale. Might have been $25, I don't know. It had sat out in the sun and faded. It was awful. And I don't know how it's showing up on camera, but it looks like a $25 chainsaw, really. these were so faded. I tried to mess with them and do a little bit of plastic restore. That wasn't working. And it's fiberglass, you know, or at least there's fibers in there. There's probably some asbestos in there. And you guys may be like, what? No, asbestos was used in everything back in the day. And it still is. Just the government says they get to control how much is put in there, but it's still in all kinds of stuff. That's another story. This is the Novice Lumberjack. So the dealio, I just painted it. I figured if it doesn't look good, I got to buy new covers anyways if I want it to look good, so might as well paint it and, you know, whatever. Point is runs great. Now I have started it up today, so I don't. So it'll do that all day long, right? Runs great. And where the luck is that I have this, and I can pull parts off of this to put onto the Binford Bad Boy. Prime example of that is, you know, someone had mentioned, well, maybe your coil's going bad. So, pulled the coil off of this, put it on there. Still did the same thing. All kinds of craziness with that damn Binford Bad Boy, whatever. This thing's running great though, and before the video's over, I'll give you some test cuts with it to show it off. This is going to, if it keeps on running as good as it does, which I'm sure it will, this will go into my truck. Because even though I don't want it to be stolen, if it is stolen, well, okay. And most of the time too, you know, people would see this old Craftsman chainsaw and think that it's a piece of crap and never even try and sell it or steal it. So I feel like it'd be safe there. Anyways, I'm rambling. So back to this right here. I think that I finally figured out what's going on. Maybe. So once I tried a known good carburetor, didn't fix the problem. I tried a known good coil, didn't fix the problem. So now I'm left with this right here. The problem is here somewhere. So if you don't know, I mean, I'm sorry, so it'll start, then as soon as it warms up, it has problems, all kinds of problems. Can't dial in the carburetor, and ultimately it just won't run at all. So I said, well, I have got to break it apart. And I thought maybe because I had made my squish band so small, it's only got a 20 thousandths squish, that's small, that's tight, giving it a lot of compression. And I thought, I don't know, maybe whenever it warms up, it's causing pre-detonation. I don't see that as possible because it's not that much, but yeah, it's an air-cooled engine. We'll see. So I was going to put a base gasket on there. So whenever I was taking it apart, I noticed that the piston was really oily. Well, I mean, I understand there's oil in the fuel, but I didn't mix it heavy, and I don't know what's going on. It's weird. Took the muffler apart. Oil was literally pouring out of it. Oil, black oil. Are you serious? And so then my mind gets spinning. Is my chain oil somehow getting in? So I broke it all the way down. Sure enough, here's where I'll insert a picture. You can see some oil right there in the case half. It's just laying in there. It's just oil. So oil is clearly getting in the crankcase somewhere. And this is still just conjunction theory, you know, just try and figure it out here. So what I did, I went ahead and broke it all the way down, as you can see in that picture, and I resealed the case halves because I thought maybe I didn't do a good enough job. So I resealed it. I was really overly concerned with pretty, you know, and this time, obviously, I'm not, so you can see all of that red Durco that's showing through. I also noticed that there was oil over here on the flywheel side. So that means it's coming through that crank seal, right? Shouldn't be there. It should not be there. No oil should be getting in there. So I know clearly I'm going to need crank seals. Also, what I did notice was over here on this side, on the PTO side where your clutch is, whenever I had the cylinder head off of it, and I was, I had it all broken down, and I was turning the main bearings from the inside. And I noticed that this side was difficult to turn. And that was because this crank seal, I had seated it too far in. It was seated too far in, and it was rubbing up against the main bearing. So I might have been able to get away with just new crank seals this time installed properly. I don't know. But there's another theory. So that's two theories. Here's a third. First one was maybe the crankcase is leaking and chain oil is getting in there. Second one, the main seals were bad, right? And then that's causing a tuning issue, right? Because it gets lean. And then the third theory is that because this crank seal was pushed too far in, and as it would run and get warmed up, this crank bearing was rubbing on the inside of the seal. It's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to rub on that seal. And anyways, maybe it was getting a little bit too hot, too warm, starting to leak. And this is your oiler. So, the oil from the oil pump, maybe it was getting in there because of this surface not being sealed up the way that it needed to be. So I took another picture of that. It's kind of in between stages of me doing things, but I went ahead. You see all of that purple paint. It was some bumps and stuff. Maybe it wasn't sealing properly, so I went ahead and took as much of that off as possible, and maybe now it'll have a better seal. All of these things are just theories. Hopefully whenever I put this thing back together, it's going to run stellar. I did go ahead, I had the opportunity to put a brand new caber ring in this. The ring is from a steel 039 setup. I checked out the rings. It slipped right in the piston just fine. Whenever I compress them together, it had an end gap there. I think it'll be fine. We'll see. But anyways, that's the update on the Binford Bad Boy. Hopefully, the next time you see this thing, it'll be running and cutting. But thus is my experience with Poland. Same thing with steel. The only difference to me that I have found between Poland and steel, well, of course, if you want to look at modern stuff, steel has obviously won, right? But my personal experience is I can't get either one of them to run good. Every steel I have is a piece of crap. I don't like them. They don't run good. The only exception is the 028 Super that I had, and it ran great. But all the other ones I've had, they just break a lot. They're overly heavy for the power they produce. I mean, granted, they might produce some serious power, but if you have to lug around a brick, it's like, that's not cool. And then with the Polands, my experience is a little bit shallower, right? I don't have a real depth of experience with these things. But same deal, you know, like this model right here, you Poland guys out there will be like, it's great. And, you know, like that Black Magic is running good. And I like it. I like it. That's the big difference is I want to like these Polands. That's why I'm trying so hard to get this thing awesome. So, but over and over again, I just like, there's little problems. And, you know, part of that is probably just me learning the brand. I had a 3400 that was mint cherry. Damn if I could ever get that thing to run right. I sold it to a guy, Lucas, all right? Sold it, and, you know, he's like, it's the easiest starting saw I've ever had. That was the hardest starting saw I've ever had. But for him, it's perfect. I never could tune that thing. I even sent it to a guy who got it and sent it back, and he's like, runs great. And he showed it to me. Walker, talking about you, buddy. Sent it to him, and he didn't do much to it because it was perfect. It was a great saw. All he had to do was tune it a little bit, I think. He might have cleaned it up a little bit, but he just tuned it up. And then whenever I picked it up, he's like, start it. And pull start. Perfect. 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 I get back to Atlanta with it. That mother trucker wouldn't start. So that's my experience with Polands. They've always been a thorn in my side. The difference between them and steel to me is I want to like Poland. I don't give a damn about steel. I got Huskies, Johnson Reds, you know. But these Polands, they're cool. They're really cool, you know. Purple and green makes me think of Kawasaki dirt bikes, you know. Anyways, so let's get some test cuts with the Black Magic.